There you go. Now it's recording. And also too, my camera, my laptop's been acting up recently. So if I start to freeze, I apologize about that. I'll just hide my camera just so I'm not frozen there. But as long as you can still see what I'm doing and hear my voice, we're good to go. Okay, so who wants to drive?
Melody, did you want to go for first, or I have the list we were talking about the other day?
Yeah, we do have a list, and also yesterday afternoon I experienced something with Who's Next that I haven't experienced it before. I have 3 students sign in at the same time. Only one show up, the other 2 doesn't show up. And we try again and again and again, and those 2 students, after they sign in, it just doesn't show up that they sign in. And the first time they did it, I thought that they might do something wrong or they didn't click finish all the way out. But when I helped them, we did everything that we normally do, and it didn't work. And
Okay,
so
so
the name did not show.
So to troubleshoot this is going to be there's Davenport. Let me let her in. Troubleshooting this today is going to be difficult, and here's the reason why. Your data that you've been hosting with Who's Next this whole time is on campus. We do not have access to it, so not like some other schools where we hosted it. Excuse me. We host a lot of schools' data in like our secure cloud, so that if they ever call us, say, "Hey, Jody, this happened or that happened," it's fairly easy for my team and I to get there and do it, to look up and try to fix it. This case, it's going to be challenging, not completely undoable, but not completely, not doable. But it's gonna be challenging only because your data is on there. So in order to do this, we're gonna have to do 1 of 2 things. One, I will make you the host, and then Melody, if you can share your screen, and then I'm going to try to piggyback into that computer and kind of figure out what's going on from there. I don't know if it's happening at so are students signing themselves in at the sign-in station, or are you signing them in like at a front desk?
We have a science station. We use
Okay.
VDI. So
Okay.
that's the only thing on that is that we use VDI. And so that brings to my second question. Is it because we're using VDI make the student sign in show up a little bit later?
No,
Like,
it should not. It should, because it should be writing to the database in real time. So that shouldn't be happening. What might be happening, because it is VDI, is when we built the version that you're currently using now, the desktop version, it was never built for that type of technology. So there might be something going on behind the scenes. Like, for example, I don't know if this is the case, but are students being signed into the right department? You know what I mean? Like, they're signing into your department. Are they really going to somebody else's? Because it's kind of like a cloud-based environment, sort of. So if the IT goes and tweaks something or change something on the cloud part of it, the VDI part of it, it has trickle down effects, into your side. So that might be what's happening. Again, I don't know until I actually look at your data, and in order to do that, I need to get into your computer. Does that kind of make sense?
yes. Well, our VDI, we have account that's assigned to us within the department. So I always sign in the department. So the student doesn't have an option to choose a different department that they can sign into. So that will be out of question, I would say, because we sign into the department. And second, so I have 2 problems. Is that 1, the student sign in but doesn't show. 2 is that student sign in and it will show up 5-10 minutes later.
That's weird.
And that happened to us about 3 times this week.
The only, you know what, now that you're saying that, maybe, that might be the reason why. Is this?
I have the same problem too.
Yeah. Okay, good. I was just going to say that. I was going to say if anybody else is having the same problem. You know what this could be now that you say it? Sometimes, and I remember speaking with the gentleman, I think his name was Tim Moore, I believe was his name, from IT. I don't know if he's still even there. In the past, so let me get a little technical here. The database that you're using on your site to store the data within Who's Next, sometimes there's a file in there called a transaction log. Okay. And what happens is that database is growing so big that it can have adverse effects. Like you're saying, it's reading right to it. It's having some latency issues because that database has gotten so big. In order to resolve that, we have to shrink it again. And by shrinking it, it fixes that problem and it happens out. So we've noticed that when the transaction log gets too big, too large, there's some adverse effects. And this sounds like it's probably one of those. So in order to fix this, I can't do it myself. I'm gonna have to reach out to your IT department so they can do something on the server. The good thing though is once they do on the server, it has a trickle down effect, and it will correct it for everybody in this call and everybody else around your within your campuses. Did
Okay.
that make sense
You'll
at
reach
all?
out to him?
Yes. So let me make a note about that now. It's Mr. Tim Moore, but I don't, like I said, it's been years since I've spoken to him, but I have been in communication with the Miss Pat Bordeaux, I believe how you say her name.
Right,
Boudreaux,
Patty
yeah.
is still here.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
Yeah, I
he's-
know she is. See, her and I, we communicate emails quite often. So I will, and it's funny that no one else has brought this to our attention, because if this is happening to you or you too, this is happening everywhere. Just no one's reached out to us, or no one's have thought to reach out to us yet. But yeah, I'll copy both of them. I'll send them email, say, hey Tim, remember we did this years ago, do it again. And then that should automatically fix your issue without having to do anything else.
Okay, great.
I want to go next.
Okay, go ahead.
Question, this is Janelle, and my main question is that we do the settings every morning because we want them to be able to choose between Spanish and English, which is one of your options.
Yep.
We want them to fill out the questionnaire, and we've
Yep.
gone in and figure out how to put the words in. And we want them to be able to, anyway, there's 3 or 4 settings in there. And I have to go in and put those settings in every morning.
Yep.
Is
Now, let me ask you a
there
question.
way to save that?
Yes, ma'am. So let me ask you a follow-up question to that. Are you also using the sign-in station in the VDI environment?
I am not using the VDI, but I am using the sign-in station.
Okay, cool. So you're using the sign-in station, obviously, but you're not doing it in the VDI. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, cool. Are you at that computer right now?
I am not, but I
Okay.
can walk over to it.
No. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to put this is it. Yes, I'm going to send you instructions on how to fix that. So, however, though, you're probably going to have someone in IT do the steps for you. And let me explain. When we built the desktop version that you're currently using right now, those settings that you're going and you're clicking, to set them. When you click save, one thing that the program's doing behind the scenes is it's trying to save those settings to your local device, to your local machine. Okay, there's a special file on the computer that says, okay, great, Janelle's changing it, write them all to this file so that the next time you start it, it reads that file, it knows your settings, and it has them turned on for you. Okay. The problem that's happening in this case is that your IT department has locked down that computer. They lock it down mostly because it's a student-facing computer. So a lot of times students go and they start using with it. So IT departments lock it down so that the computer, our program does not have the rights or the capability to update that file. It doesn't actually, it resets it. That's why when you restart it, it's reverting back. And so the steps I'm going to send you right now, or I'll put it here in the chat session, or I think I have a support article I'll send you a link to. Well, if your IT department follows these step by steps, easy, it'll fix it, and then you won't have to reset it or do it every single morning after ever again.
Great.
So let me dig up that help article, and I'll send it to you here in.
Is that working on VDI too? The article.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. I'm like, because again, we never developed this for a VDI, so I can't say for certain how it's working because it was never developed for that type of environment. But since Janelle said she's not doing VDI,
right,
then I'm confident that's exactly what's happening.
Well,
yeah, I was able to find an old computer.
Yeah,
I have the same thing that happens to me, but I am on VDI.
same
Okay.
here.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this in the chat right here. It's actually a link. If you want to just save that, bring that up, whatever, and just share that with your IT person. And what that's basically going to do is they're just going to go in there. And if you notice, there's a link and there's watch a brief video on this topic. Please click here. So what you'll do is forward this link to your IT person. Have him or her watch it. It's not very long, and they'll have exact step-by-steps on what to do to fix this issue.
Okay, and then I have another issue because I'm not sure, Janelle and even Melody, how you guys managed it, but when I set up my Who's Next, it is on VDI, and I was able to get in there and add options to the sign-in questionnaire.
Okay.
And we added like what is your primary language, and so I have about 5 or 6 languages, and then one of them says other. I can't get back in there to add any more languages or to make changes because there was another little icon for who's next on the desktop, but it's not there. Like it's just gone. So I don't know how you ladies managed to get into it, but I can't get into mine anymore for to change those.
So there should be
Well, I
two
have to-
icons. There should be two kinds of icons you're using. So in order for you to go in there and build your questionnaire, you're using the main component, the main white cloud icon. Just said, I think it says like who's next counselor / receptionist component or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
That, that's the one you currently have access to. Is that correct?
That, so is that the, so I'm not at my station right now.
Okay.
I think that's the one that I can't find anymore.
Okay. That's weird. I wonder why it disappeared.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. And so the other one that you have is like I'm assuming it's the student sign-in station where students can go sign
Yeah.
themselves in, pick the questionnaire and all that stuff. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So you have that one already. You just don't have the main component that lets you to log in there and do the administrative functions like building the questionnaire and making those changes. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
So what you'll do in that case is you will you have to put like a work request for your IT department to go and install it. Now I can send you the link now, but I don't know if you have like administrative rights to install the program. You know what I mean? Like I can give it to you right now on this call.
Yeah.
But if you try to install it, it may let you in, or it may just say, nope, you don't have rights to install. And again, that's one of the limitations for the desktop version that we built many years ago, is that you have to go in and reinstall it and stuff like that too.
Can you just give me the name of what I need to ask for?
Sure. I'll put it here in the chat real quick. It's called the Who's Next, and it's not user console anymore. I think it's just called counselor receptionist. Yeah, that's the main one. That's the main.
Okay.
And I think let me dig up that because your IT should have these files with them, but let me find it anyway.
They should, yeah, they probably do, but if you don't know what you're asking for, then they don't know what I'm asking for. So
Yep. No, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Absolutely.
And I'm new. My sign-in station does have the VDI does have VDI, but I need to get everything set up in mine.
Okay.
I just have the option of going to it.
Is it doing that? There it is. And just for everybody on this call, just to we are recording this, so just gonna let you know, we have been in communication with a few departments within Tarrant County, your IT department, and then I think financial aid and counseling, I believe, I'm not sure with the other department. We have made them aware that we have actually launched a new web version of our platform that completely does away with having to use VDI and uninstall, reinstall, all that stuff. It basically solves all of the issues that you and I are talking about today. So there's that one. I can give you the links now. I don't mind giving it to you, just so and then you can just forward to your IT department. They should have all these, but
okay.
if you want me to do that, I can do it. If not, if you just want to reach out to him, say, hey, talk to Jody, and he recommends that you install Who's Next on my machines.
Yes. If you send us a link, we can send it to them on our ticket.
Okay, this sign-in station. Get that link right now.
Ladies, will one of y'all please grab those links? Because I'm at the food market, and so I'm on my phone.
Yeah, I know I'm doing it because I made a list
Okay.
of questions. And so I'm just going back to that list of questions and just putting those links in
Okay.
under those questions that we
I just gave you the sign-in station, and I'm going to give you the main component. Here it is.
So Jody, are we moving to that kind of cloud-based or version, or
let me finish typing this out. I can't do two things at once. So I've spoken to, her name was Dr. Parent, Dr. Cordona Parent, I believe.
Yeah.
I just gave a demo for her and her staff. I think it was in January, and she seemed very, very interested. I have mentioned to Pat Bordeaux about our new web version. She's brought it up to some of our IT folks as well about it. It basically just solves a lot of these issues. One, like you said, there's no VDI, there's nothing to install, there's nothing to reinstall, and everything is in the cloud. It's all secure. We just upgraded Houston Community College, all 22 campuses. We did that in December. Everything went off without a hitch, like easy, like literally moved them over to the cloud, turn it on, they're logging in, they're using it right now. So it just solves a lot of other problems. Some other features that it has, like we built in and I think this is something that Dr. Parent was excited about. We actually now have like a student survey feature where anytime you see a student, whether it's at the food bank or in your department, our system can send them an email or a text message asking them to fill out a survey. I mean, it literally goes out that very second their visit is saved. They do it from their phone, boom, they're done. We have an appointment scheduling piece now where students can make appointments. Sandra Central College was using our appointment scheduler for their food bank, actually, where students can go make 10-minute appointments for their food bank. A lot of other bells and whistles that are featured. We have a touchless sign-in app, so students can sign in from their phone rather than have to go in the office to sign in. They can sign in via like a QR code. So a lot of other bells and whistles and features and improvements that we've added over the years. So I can send you more information. I can even send you a recording that we did with Dr. Parent, so you can, if you wanted to see that demo that we did for her, I can share that with you as well.
That would be
I'd like to
great.
have that.
Sounds
She is
great.
on,
Yeah.
yeah, she's
Cool.
on my campus, so I'd like to know what kind of things they're working on too.
There you go. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Just out of curiosity, which campus are you at, ma'am?
I'm at Northeast.
Northeast. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll send that over to you a little bit. So right here in the chat, I gave you the links for the student sign-in station as well as a main counselor receptionist component. I will send you over the private YouTube video that we did for Dr. Parent, so you can watch that as well. Ms. Davenport, I just recommend just forward those links to your IT department. Say, hey, I talked to Jody. We just need to make sure we have these components installed. Once you have it installed, reach out to me again. If you can't make changes to your questionnaire, let me know and I can help you with that.
Okay.
Yep.
And I have a question to go along with that, going to the cloud. And I think Pat kind of mentioned it in an email the other day to us. We're being requested to make a district report for all of our English second language programs. And I put the report together, or Melody and I put the report together and then submit it on a weekly basis. Can we run reports for all of us, or the only thing we can figure out right now is each one of us run a report and then we combine them?
So I want to make sure I understand your question. So your question you're saying is, when you run reports, can you run it for multiple areas at one time versus having to do, multiple reports and kind of combine them together? Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct.
Yes, ma'am. So we can do that as well. So we can give you special access to the system, or we can even customize a special report for you that says, so click this button, put in the date range. We just did this for, what other school did we build this for? We built a report for another school. I don't remember off the top of our head, where we just, in the parameters, it already knew which departments to run it for. So we created a special new report, call it XYZ, whatever you want to call it. You literally put in the date range, click, run, and that report behind the scenes know, hey, give me the data for these departments at these campuses, and just puts it together in a report, and it's right there for you. So that's something that we can definitely do for you with the new web version.
Oh, okay.
Is that kind of like what you're asking about?
It sure is, because we're submitting it. We're trying to verify that we do need more personnel in our departments. And they're looking at every district and every office in the district.
Yep. That is definitely a possibility. Yeah. And we
just need to get back to you then once we go to the cloud. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. So during the migration process, what we do is we can take all your data and move it into the cloud. That's really easy to do. And then at that point, once we take it, connect it, and you're using it, then we will build that new report for you. And that's one of the benefits of our new web version, is that your IT doesn't have to do anything. They don't have to reinstall. They don't have to do anything with the database. Everything's on our side. And literally it's like, okay, we created a new report. We upload our server. You have it right then and there immediately. And then you can run it right then and there whenever you want to run it. So maintenance, improvements, changes, upgrades, it's very, very easy to do now with a new web version. In the chat, I just put a YouTube link called TCCD Demo, and we did it for Dr. Parent on January 11th. That's the demo. So if you click it, you can watch it. I don't know how long it is. It's probably about an hour. It's 58 minutes long. So, but again, you can fast forward, Zoom, we do whatever you need to do to watch that demo. Does that answer your question, ma'am? About
It
about
does.
your report?
Okay, I've got another question too.
Sure.
It seems like every once in a while there's a student that shows up that it doesn't show the questionnaire. It doesn't ask them to complete the questionnaire as far as language is concerned. And
So, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I
okay,
cut you
go
off.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was
No,
going to say, and then when I run the report as far as the questionnaire and the answers, then it doesn't show that student on my report. So it's like I'm missing that student altogether.
Okay. I wouldn't know exactly what it is until I dig deeper with that. But the first thing that comes to mind is, and I'm curious if it just happens just that one student and not every student. I do know when we built the questionnaire feature, we built a way where it would skip the questionnaire if the student signed in, so many days in the past. Like I think we build it for like either by semester or by a week or whatever. First thing I thought of right now is, okay, like when the student signs in, it says, hey, was the student here this past week or month or whatever you have that setting at. And if it sets to true, it just skips that questionnaire. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I'm saying that's might be what's happening based on that.
And that could very well be true, because usually it happens with students that know their student ID number. So if they know how to do the sign in and they know their student ID number, they've probably used it in a couple of locations.
Yeah, that might be what it is. And again, like I said earlier, it's very hard for me to figure out because your data is there on your side. We don't have access to it. So in order for me to troubleshoot it, it's extremely difficult on our side. But if I was able to get in or kind of troubleshoot it more further, then I would be able to tell you concrete, yes, this is what's happening now.
Well, and let me tell you what I did yesterday when I was trying to figure out what exactly was going on. I went in and it shows that I can look up a student and I can delete that student from the system, I guess. Anyway, I looked the student up and I deleted the student. Then I went back out to the Who's Next sign-in station. I signed the student in again, and it did bring up the questionnaire the second time around.
Okay. So maybe there's some kind of logic bug, or maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that's preventing it from happening. So I'll give it some thought. I'll look into it and see if we can try to figure out what that logic and what's going on behind the scenes.
Okay.
Yeah, if we can have that questionnaire to pop up every single time, that I think that might be better.
Sure.
Just I experienced the same problem, and I noticed that if the student have a student ID number, then it doesn't ask for the questionnaire. Like the questionnaire didn't even pop up.
Okay.
Now, if it would say that they don't know the student ID number, then it will pop up.
Okay. Okay. I'll task that to my team, try to figure out, see what's going on.
Okay. I've got one more question. Can you see after the person has logged in the information and they put in their language, their first language, is there somewhere I can go and look at that later without, because it doesn't seem attached to a name when I run the report, but I might want to look that student up and say, oh, they speak Farsi or they speak whatever.
I do know that we're not saving that long term. So when the student signs in, that's mostly like a helpful guide to show you, hey, this is the language they're preferring. But when we first built that, we didn't say, okay, save it to their profile or save it to that visit or something like that too. So it's more like a temporary thing. Now, that's not to say something we could maybe improve in the future or something like that. And we're always getting requests now that, like, oh, now we can make changes to this or make changes to that, especially with the web version. That's something we can look into for you in the future and say, like, okay, how do we save this, or how do we report off of this, or how do we, let you know, hey, so many people are coming in for Spanish versus English versus Farsi versus Russian, or whatever. That's something that we can possibly look into do for you in a future release.
Okay. Well, and I think we're looking into it also as far as keeping it into our database that we have here on campus, because that is something that we're looking into, and because we're trying to be student ready, that's one of our principles.
And we could customize, we can build some special report for you, and then that would say last semester these are percentages. These how many students came in that chose English versus Spanish versus Farsi versus Russian, and give you percentages. And like you said, to be better prepared for your student base. I love that. I think that's an awesome
part of what
idea.
We're looking at right now. And that's the reason they're wanting us to run the data is we want to be student ready. We want to make sure we know what languages our students are, where they're coming from. and how to be most available to that.
Sure.
And
Sure.
how do we need to be able to change even our web pages
Yep.
so that we can be student ready for that too.
Yep. And then, like I said, and even the reports that you can run right now, and even the reports that we have in the web version shows you your traffic flow. So you know what students are coming in, the times of the day, days of the week, you know, so you can be more prepared. And then also, man, I'm thinking we can even break that report down by hour, by day of the week, if necessary, and like P times of operations, and then break it down by the English, their language preference. You know what I mean? So you can even be able to see. Yeah, wow, my brain's going right now. That's really cool. I like that. I see all that behind the scenes. I see all that coding. So yeah, that's something we can definitely do for you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because that's definitely where we're all going, you know,
Mhm.
because we're researching other community colleges too and what they're looking at and how we can grow this program, because this is our future as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned anyway.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect
Okay.
sense. Mhm.
That's the last of my questions. How about everybody else?
I actually
Well,
have
that
one.
covered it for me.
So I have one question. So
Yes, ma'am.
whenever you sign the student in and it shows the student name, and you have different columns where it shows the student ID, student name, and some other information. So I would try to see if I can change the column to see if it will show the student ID number, the student email address, or like if they have a column say other, that way we can put in like the language, like Janelle said earlier, that some of it that what they say we can't see. So I was playing with it to see if I can create a column or add a column and have it custom to where I can put language, or if it doesn't let me do that in other. But whenever I try to look into a column, it always give you a limited choice. And
Mhm.
even though I check on the column that I wanted, it doesn't show, like it doesn't do anything.
Sure. That could be for a number of different reasons. One, maybe the data is not there. For example, like email address. You know, if you're importing your students, or you know the student is in the database, you know, but they don't have an ID, an email address, that data is not going to show. So it just depends on which column you're selecting and if the data is there to be reported off of. Unfortunately, our system does not have like the mechanism to let you specify, like say other, and then put something in there. It's those columns are hard coded in the system, and that's something that we have to do for you. But again, just to reiterate, depending on what data you want to show, if the data is not in the database, then we're not going to be able to display that in the system for you.
So when the student sign in, or even when we sign the student in, it will give her the option to put in their email address, their home address, and all that information. It's just that whenever I print them out, or when I print out the report, it will show. It's just that it won't show when I sign in. Like
Okay.
if I want to see, I have to print the report for it to show. Like
Okay.
the contact information. There you go.
Sure. The other thing too, I'm thinking about, maybe it's something in a database. Possibly. I'll talk to Tim about that as well, because there's a special function on the database that queries the data and puts it out. Maybe they're just running an older version of that function, that view. Again, I can reach out to Tim or your DBA and see, you know, what they're doing on their side. That might be another cause for the reason for that.
I see.
Mhm.
All right, then that's
And
all my
that's
question.
And again, that's another thing. That's why Houston Community College wanted to run with our web version, because before they're having to get your IT department, they're having to do a bunch of things behind the scenes, and they're obviously spread thin with other projects. Now they just call up, say, hey, what's going on? We can look right then and there and say, yep, this is what's happening, fix it. You know, it's a lot easier with the web version going forward. And just as a shameless plug, when we updated Houston Community College, they've been using our system probably as long as you have. When we upgraded them, we looked at their database, and they had visits going back to 2004. So roughly around the time y'all started using Who's Next as well. The cool thing though is they had almost 9 million student visits in their system.
wow.
Like, yeah, it was like 8,800,000 and something. Like, I was like, whoa, like that is amazing, you know? And the fact that we were able to get all that data and move it into the cloud and just turn it on, and they didn't lose any data. Like everything went over literally. It took like about 2 hours to do the upgrade. Like it was super simple. But we moved over on nearly 9 million visits, and they can still report off of that data going back 2004. That was like, I told my team like that's awesome that they can do that. So I would suspect y'all probably have that many visits in your system too. You probably have at least a few million student visits in your system, because you're just as big as them. Yeah. So just wanted to let y'all know.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions that y'all need to have addressed?
So I did see this is just a cosmetic thing, but I did see a place that you could go in and add a logo to your screen on the sign-in thing. Is that is that easy? Is that something that, I mean, it might be fun to have it on there just because.
Yeah, there is a way for are you talking about at the sign-in station or your
Yes,
reports?
the sign-in station. I
Yes.
mean, because I see it on the reports, because I like your report. I mean, I'm a report person. I like the fact that I can just click a button and I can magically have a pie chart at the bottom of my report or whatever. That's the reason I didn't want to have to mess your report up and then combine all of them into another
Sure.
spreadsheet,
Sure.
because boom, it's just right there.
It's funny, when I first started my programming career, I was actually a programmer for AT&T many years ago, and my boss at the time was a real big stickler reports. Like he kind of ingrained it in me, like, no, when you run reports, you got to make sure, no, when you design reports, you got to make sure they're pretty and they're all everything just nice looking and uniform and everything like that. So when you look at our reports, I make an extra effort to make sure that they're all standardized and they look pretty and displaying. So we
I
try
can
very
tell.
hard with our reports to do that. That's just been ingrained in me. So thank you for that compliment. Yeah, so to answer your question, yes, there are ways to put the logos in the sign-in station, in the reports, even the new web version. If you look at the video I sent you, the demo, I think we talked about that as well, where we can customize the look and feel, especially our lobby display. When students kind of sign in and they want to see where they are in the queue, we can customize your logo and colors and stuff like that. So it looks more like a Tarrant County College product, that they're looking at versus what our product looks right out of the box. So there's a lot of
But
customizations.
is it just something that I can, if I grab one of our logos and I can just put it out there and
I
load
believe
it?
so. Yeah, you can do that as well. It's under the tools menu. But
Right,
again,
because I saw it.
I would wait until you fix the permission issue before, where your IT has to kind of go and fix that, because if you do it now, you might have to be resetting that every single time.
Okay.
So that problem's still going to be there too. So
Yeah.
I would wait for them to fix that, and then you can go and then you should be able to do it yourself.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. What
Jody,
else?
real quick, after you talk to IT, do you think that's something that they can do pretty quickly?
So referring to Mr. Moore about running or shrinking the database?
Yeah.
That all depends on their availability. It's easy to do. I just don't know how quickly they're going to be able to get around to it. So I'll send him the scripts. I'll send him everything he needs to do. I'll copy Pat on it. Whether he gets to it today, tomorrow, I have no idea. That's out of my control, but I'll send it to him here shortly.
Okay.
But once they do it, that the effect is immediate. You won't have to do anything on your side. You won't have to reinstall or log off and log back in. That immediately takes to effect once they run that script and shrink the database.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Do
You're
y'all have
welcome.
anything else, ladies?
I think that's all I have. I don't know about Janelle and Sandra.
Nope, that was my
Nope.
list of questions.
Good. Well, I appreciate your time. Like I said, I am recording this, so I'll upload it to our private channel once we're done here. I'll send you a link to it just so you have a copy of everything I'm talking about and you can hold me accountable. And then, yeah, I'll reach out to Tim and Pat right now. And if you have any other questions about, the desktop version or web version, just let me know.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
Janelle and Melody, I'm going to send you guys an email about helping me get set up.
Okay. And I can go through the
Jody.
process of everything that I put in there every morning, because I think that's all you're going to have to do.
Okay.
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 All
Awesome.
right.
Well, I hope
Thanks.
you have a wonderful rest of your Friday and a weekend ahead. And let me know if you need anything else.
Will do.
You too, and thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.